Why did British pop icon Sam Smith suddenly name the most attractive members of BTS, shaking up both the pop world and the ARMY fandom? What specific, unfiltered traits drew the Grammy winners' attention to these global superstars? Let's uncover the cold, verified facts behind this unexpected cultural crossover. Number 7, the golden standard, Jungkook. When evaluating the sheer scale of physical evolution within modern pop music, the metamorphosis of BTS's youngest member presents an undeniable case study in precise, rigorous athletic development. Emerging in the global spotlight during the group's debut in 2013, he was a teenage vocalist whose aesthetic footprint matched the youthful, street-style concept of early hip-hop trends in Seoul. However, the subsequent decade documented a calculated shift into high-performance fitness that completely redefined his stage presence. By the time he achieved historic chart milestones with his 2023 solo debut album Golden, spearheaded by the record-breaking global hit 7, his physical conditioning had become an integral component of his professional identity. This transformation is not a product of casual aesthetics, it is the direct result of an intense training regimen encompassing elite-level boxing, disciplined weight training, and exhaustive choreography sessions that demand peak cardiovascular endurance. This athletic foundation allows him to execute incredibly complex dance routines while maintaining pitch-perfect vocal stability, a feat that requires immense core strength and breath control. His visual appeal is rooted in this palpable, functional power, characterized by a highly defined, symmetrical physique that has captured the attention of major Western fashion institutions. His landmark 2023 global campaign as the face of Calvin Klein served as a definitive cultural marker, showcasing a raw, stripped-back, and unapologetically mature aesthetic that dominated billboards from New York's Houston Street to Tokyo's Shibuya. The imagery emphasized a strong, chiseled silhouette, traditional tattooing, and an intense, self-assured gaze that rejected the clean-cut norms historically associated with idol pop. This intersection of exceptional vocal talent, relentless discipline, and a commanding, fully realized physical presence creates a distinct magnetism that effortlessly bridges East Asian media structures and mainstream Western pop iconography, proving that his position on the global stage is secured by absolute dedication to his craft. This leaves a critical question about how the group's older members established the structural framework for this standard. Number 6, the high fashion enigma, V. When analyzing the visual impact of Kim Taehyun within the global entertainment landscape, the discussion moves entirely away from standard pop star conventions and directly into the realm of high art symmetry and avant-garde fashion philosophy. The physical structure of his face has been a subject of intense analysis by professional plastic surgeons and digital artists alike, who frequently point out that his facial proportions possess a rare, near-perfect golden ratio that is entirely natural, characterized by a sharp, defined jawline, a high nasal bridge, and uniquely asymmetrical eyelids, one single and one double, that grant him an intensely expressive, cinematic gaze. This distinctive facial architecture allows him to command the camera with an effortless, brooding intensity that transcends traditional modeling standards. His physical presence is deeply intertwined with his artistic identity as a baritone vocalist, a rarity in the predominantly tenor-driven K-pop industry, creating a profound sensory contrast where his deep, soulful, jazz-infused vocal timbre matches the mature, mysterious aura he projects visually. This unique combination caught the immediate attention of Hedy Slimane, the legendary artistic director of Celine, who officially designated him as a global brand ambassador, leading to historic appearances such as his attendance at the 2022 Celine show during Paris Fashion Week, an event that caused such unprecedented chaotic crowds on the streets of Paris that international media outlets declared it a definitive turning point in the relationship between luxury fashion and South Korean artists. His aesthetic is further defined by a fluid, gender-bending approach to styling, seamlessly transitioning from sharp, tailored Celine suits to romantic, vintage-inspired silhouettes, silk scarves, and bold jewelry, all handled with a relaxed, aristocratic posture that makes every movement appear entirely deliberate. This sophisticated, painterly elegance was fully realized in his 2023 solo album Layover, where the visual concepts leaned heavily into a raw, melancholic, retro aesthetic that stripped away the typical glossy idol makeup to reveal a gritty, vulnerable, and deeply intimate side of his persona. His allure is not built on aggressive, high-energy performance, but rather on a quiet, hypnotic stillness and a profound understanding of visual storytelling through subtle facial expressions and posture, creating a magnetic field that completely redefines modern masculine beauty on a global scale. This raises the anticipation for the next member, whose physical appeal is built on an entirely different foundation of classical grace and fluid movement. Number 5. The ethereal modernist, Jimin. The physical and performance identity of Park Jimin represents one of the most structurally unique anomalies in the history of global pop music, defined by a stark, fascinating dualism that bridges classical elegance with raw, contemporary athletic power. To understand his distinct appeal, one must examine his foundational background at the Busan High School of Arts, where he entered as the top student in the modern dance department, mastering the intricate mechanics of contemporary dance, traditional Korean dance, and classical ballet. This highly specialized, grueling physical training fundamentally altered his musculoskeletal development, resulting in a rare posture characterized by an elongated neckline, perfectly dropped shoulders, and a fluid spine that allows him to execute choreographic movements with a level of flexibility and weightlessness that defies standard hip-hop mechanics. When he performs, this training manifests as an intense, hypnotic sensuality rooted in a complete mastery over muscle isolation and kinetic energy. He can transition from an explosive, razor-sharp pop and lock maneuver to a soft, sweeping, emotional contemporary spin in a fraction of a second, making his stage presence feel deeply theatrical and emotionally charged. This fluid, almost gender-fluid physical grace is mirrored precisely in his unique vocal range, a countertenor-leaning falsetto that pierces through heavy production, as demonstrated in his historic solo tracks like Lie, Filter, and his 2023 global chart-topping solo single Like Crazy from the album Face. His visual architecture is equally striking, featuring a delicate, soft facial structure with full lips and heavy-lidded, expressive eyes that contrast sharply with a highly toned, lean, and deceptively muscular torso built from years of relentless dance conditioning and martial arts practice, including a black belt in Taekwondo. This rare aesthetic combination caught the immediate attention of ultra-luxury global fashion houses, leading to his appointment as a global brand ambassador for Dior and the historic jewelry house Tiffany & Company in 2023. His campaigns for these brands highlighted his ability to embody a quiet, sophisticated luxury, where his slender frame and sharp jawline brought a modern, poetic masculinity to classic tailoring and high-end diamond collections. On stage, he possesses an almost predatory focus, maintaining absolute eye contact with the camera while executing high-difficulty acrobatics and intricate footwork without ever showing signs of physical strain. This deliberate control over how his body moves through space, combined with an innate understanding of lines, shadows, and facial expressions, gives him a magnetic, almost intoxicating allure that relies entirely on artistic precision and raw emotional vulnerability. This leaves the audience entirely captivated, wondering which member could possibly follow such a masterclass in physical expression. Number 4. The uncompromising poet, Suga. The allure of Min Yoongi is a stark, fascinating departure from conventional pop star vanity, rooted entirely in a raw, intellectual gravity and a quiet, razor-sharp confidence that commands attention without ever asking for it. Physically, his presence is defined by a striking, pale minimalism characterized by sharp, fox-like eyes, a distinctively sculpted jawline, and a calm, deliberate posture that reflects his roots in the underground hip-hop scenes of Daegu long before his global debut. This understated physical aesthetic creates a powerful, magnetic contrast with the explosive, unhinged kinetic energy he unleashes the moment he steps onto a stage or sits behind a production console. His appeal is deeply tied to his profound structural mastery over rhythm and language as an elite producer and rapper, a role that requires immense mental discipline and a fiercely independent artistic identity. The true weight of his charisma was put on full display during his historic 2023 solo world tour under his alter ego August D, supporting his critically acclaimed studio album D-Day. This monumental tour made him the first BTS member to embark on a solo stadium run, selling out arenas across the United States and Asia, including iconic venues like the Kia Forum in Los Angeles and the Allstate Arena in Chicago. On that stage, stripped of the elaborate group choreography, his magnetism relied purely on raw, unfiltered performance power, a commanding vocal delivery, and an intense, sweating, rock star bravado that captivated hundreds of thousands of fans worldwide. His unique, mature aesthetic caught the attention of the high fashion world, leading to his appointment as a global brand ambassador for Valentino in the face of the Dior campaign, where his sharp, clean lines and rebellious, long-haired look brought a fiercely modern, non-conforming edge to classic Italian luxury tailoring. His physical endurance is a testament to absolute dedication, having fully overcome a major, long-standing shoulder injury through a calculated surgical procedure and years of intensive physical rehabilitation to ensure he could sustain the grueling demands of a solo 2-hour live set. There is a deeply attractive, protective armor to his persona, a combination of a quiet, observant intellect off stage and a fierce, poetic warrior on stage who speaks his absolute truth with an unwavering gaze. This entirely self-made, unyielding masculine energy leaves an indelible mark on the global cultural landscape, raising the stakes dramatically for the next member on the list, whose appeal is built on an entirely different foundation of explosive dance mechanics and radiant, high-energy charisma. Number 3, the kinetic dynamo, J-Hope. The physical and performance architecture of Young Hoseok stands as a masterclass in elite neuromuscular control, athletic endurance, and raw, spatial dominance that fundamentally alters the energetic landscape of any stage he steps upon. Long before his global debut with BTS, his identity was forged in the competitive underground street dance battles of Gwangju as a prominent member of the dance crew Neuron, a foundational period that hardwired an absolute mastery of popping, locking, animation, and street-style hip-hop mechanics into his physical DNA. This specialized training resulted in an extraordinarily agile, lean, and deceptively powerful musculoskeletal structure, characterized by a highly flexible spine, exceptional core stability, and an innate understanding of kinetic transfer that allows him to execute hyper-complex, high-velocity choreography with a fluid, seemingly effortless precision that defies standard human biomechanics. When he moves, his appeal is not merely aesthetic, it is an exhibition of absolute physical authority, where every muscle isolation, sharp angle, and sudden shift in momentum is delivered with a crisp, definitive snap that instantly draws the human eye. This hypnotic physical magnetism reached a historic zenith in July 2022, when he became the first South Korean artist to headline the main stage of a major American music festival at Lollapalooza in Chicago, delivering a relentless, solo, 70-minute live performance that music critics and industry executives hailed as a triumphal display of pure showmanship and stamina. His visual identity is deeply tied to this vibrant, high-contrast energy, featuring a razor-sharp, symmetric facial structure with a remarkably high, prominent nasal bridge, a defined jawline, and a brilliant, expressive smile that can instantly shift into a piercing, intensely focused glare the moment the music drops. This distinct aesthetic duality, bridging a bright, universally appealing charisma with a gritty, avant-garde edge, caught the immediate attention of the pinnacle of international luxury fashion, leading to his appointment as a global brand ambassador for Louis Vuitton. His high-profile appearances at Paris Fashion Week showcased his ability to transform challenging, experimental, and structurally complex high-fashion silhouettes into extensions of his own fluid body language, solidifying his status as a legitimate style icon who commands garments rather than just wearing them. Beyond the clothes, his allure is rooted in his role as the legendary dance captain of BTS, a position requiring an uncompromising professional discipline and a meticulous attention to detail that commands absolute respect from his peers. There is an undeniably attractive, commanding aura to an individual who possesses total mastery over his physical form, channeling raw rhythm and complex emotional narratives directly through his nerve endings and muscles to captivate crowds of over 100,000 people simultaneously. This explosive, kinetic masculinity leaves the audience completely breathless, setting an incredibly high bar for the remaining two members who occupy the absolute pinnacle of this global list. Number 2, the Architect of Intellect, RM. The physical and presence profile of Kim Namjoon represents a towering, deeply compelling paradigm of modern masculinity that seamlessly fuses massive physical stature with a profound, high-art intellectualism. Standing as the tallest member of BTS at a commanding 181 centimeters, his physical evolution over the past decade is a documented testament to deliberate, high-performance athletic conditioning, transforming a naturally lean, lanky frame into a broad-shouldered, muscularly dense, and imposing silhouette through years of intense weight training, Pilates, and rigorous cardiovascular discipline. This powerful, grounded physicality grants him an immediate, unmissable spatial authority whenever he enters a room or steps onto a global stage, a presence characterized by long, clean lines, a remarkably sharp, angular jawline, and deep-set, intensely observant monolid eyes that project a calm, calculating maturity. Yet, the true core of his devastating attraction lies not merely in his physical dimensions, but in the immense cognitive weight he carries as the undisputed leader and primary lyrical architect of the group, a role requiring a rare level of emotional intelligence, strategic foresight, and cultural diplomacy. His linguistic fluency and structural mastery over language were globally cemented during his historic 2018 address at the United Nations General Assembly, where his calm, resonant baritone voice delivered a powerful, universally resonant message of self-acceptance that captivated world leaders and international media alike. This sophisticated, deeply academic persona is perfectly mirrored in his real-life passions as an elite art collector and patron of traditional and contemporary Korean art, a lifestyle that infuses his personal aesthetic with a quiet, refined, and minimalist luxury that completely rejects loud, superficial pop star tropes. This distinct intellectual maturity caught the attention of the ultra-exclusive Italian luxury fashion house Bottega Veneta, who appointed him as their first-ever global brand ambassador in 2023, featuring him in campaigns that highlighted his ability to embody their philosophy of stealth luxury, wearing beautifully structured, unbranded leather trench coats and sharp tailoring with a relaxed, self-assured ease that exudes pure, established power. On stage, his charisma is authoritative and fiercely grounded. He commands massive stadium crowds with a steady, unshakable stance and a deeply rhythmic, baritone vocal delivery that carries the structural weight of an elite orator. There is an incredibly potent, sophisticated magnetism to an individual who possesses the physical capability to dominate an arena, yet chooses to lead through the power of profound philosophy, artistic depth, and absolute structural discipline. This monumental combination leaves an indelible mark on the global consciousness, paving the way for the absolute final entry on this list, whose appeal is built upon a universally acknowledged foundation of timeless, classical perfection. Number 1, the ultimate blueprint, Jimin. The visual and structural architecture of Kim Seok-jin represents the absolute pinnacle of classical physical perfection, a globally verified standard that stands entirely independent of shifting pop culture trends or regional aesthetic preferences. To understand the sheer magnitude of his physical impact, one must analyze the precise anatomical data that has consistently made him a subject of scientific and artistic fascination worldwide. Professional plastic surgeons and digital face mapping experts have repeatedly documented that his facial structure possesses a flawless, mathematically precise 1 minute and 1.618 seconds golden ratio, characterized by a perfectly symmetrical, razor-sharp jawline, a high, classically sculpted nasal bridge, and exceptionally full, naturally defined lips that perfectly balance his prominent, deeply expressive eyes. This extraordinary physical symmetry is supported by a massive, highly athletic frame, most notably his legendary 60-centimeter wide shoulders, which create a dramatic, ultra-masculine V-taper silhouette that dominates both the stage and the high-fashion runway. This structural blueprint caught the attention of the ultimate institutions of global luxury, leading to his historic appointments as a global brand ambassador for the French high jewelry house Fred and the iconic Italian fashion house Gucci, where his campaigns instantly shattered digital engagement records by showcasing his ability to project a regal, aristocratic elegance that feels entirely timeless. His appeal, however, goes far beyond passive genetic perfection. It is deeply reinforced by his exceptional vocal mechanics as a lyric tenor, possessing a powerful, emotionally charged belt and a flawless pitch stability that allows him to anchor BTS's most demanding anthems, such as his solo masterpieces Epiphany and The Astronaut. His physical and mental discipline reached a historic milestone in December 2022, when he became the first member of BTS to enlist for mandatory military service in South Korea, serving with such exemplary dedication as an assistant instructor in the 5th Infantry Division that he earned the prestigious title of Special Class Warrior and achieved early promotions. Upon his highly anticipated discharge in June 2024, his global cultural dominance was immediately solidified when he was chosen as a torchbearer for the 2024 Paris Summer Olympics, representing South Korea on an international stage of peace and athletic excellence, surrounded by unprecedented crowds that brought parts of Paris to a complete standstill. This rare, devastating combination of absolute classical symmetry, elite vocal power, a commanding physical frame, and an unshakable, disciplined maturity creates an unrivaled, universally magnetic presence that establishes him as the definitive standard of global attraction, leaving no doubt as to why he occupies the undisputed number 1 position on this list.